everyone, my name's Miranda and welcome to day 4 of Hunger Games week, where today I will be reviewing the Hunger Games Catching Fire movie. And honestly, hands down, this is one of, if not the best book to movie adaptation I have ever seen. It stayed so faithful and so true to the book, even though it cut things out. Like, that's the amazing thing to me, is that, like, watching it, I'm still like, this is so the book. Like, I felt like actual scenes I had pictured in my head were taken from my head and put on screen, and watching that was amazing. And I know people who haven't even read the books like Catching Fire better, because it was just more, not action-packed necessarily, because the games still weren't till like the latter half of the movie, but there was just more tension in it, in that you saw Snow and Katniss kind of making these moves against each other, and whereas the first movie, it kind of felt smaller because it was just Katniss trying to survive the Hunger Games, now this movie is Katniss trying to survive on a bigger level because she has to stop this revolution that she started. And I think that it's an amazing thing to see just how much one person can empower a nation. That scene in the beginning where they go to District 11 where Rue was killed and Katniss makes that great speech about Rue, it felt so emotional. And then to see how the crowd reacted and to see how the crowd was put down for the way they reacted, it was moving. Like, it was so amazing to see how one person can affect so much, and how one person can, like, make all these injustices that people have been putting up with, they're not putting up with it anymore. And I love it, and I think Jennifer Lawrence absolutely nailed this, because Katniss, she could have just been like a whiner. Like, people would have been like, okay, Katniss, we get it, you have PTSD, let's move on, let's stop crying, we got shit to do. But instead, you really saw, like, through Jennifer Lawrence's facial expressions and stuff, you saw Katniss's emotions, that she didn't want this revolution, and Katniss has never been someone who wanted a revolution. She just wanted to survive in this world that she was never given a fair hand in. She didn't want to have kids, she just wanted to survive, keep her sister alive, grow old, make it to another day. She was never intending to go out and change what was happening, and Snow believes her in that. Basically, he says, unintentional or not, your actions are still causing this. So she is given the mission to convince him that her and Peeta are really in love, and to convince the nation that they're really in love, and they're so happy with the Capitol, and they are so grateful that their love is being made to stay. But Peeta, meanwhile, is like, I'm feeling totes awk because, like, we have to, like, kiss and pretend we're in love with each other, and you told me in the last movie that you just wanted to forget everything we said to each other in the movie. So he's feeling a little awkward, to say the least, but because he's Peeta, he will always, always be around for you, and he was so sweet in this movie. This is the movie where I started to, like, not like Peeta as much, though, because my gosh, when they got to the games, that man tripped. I counted it, okay? I counted it when I went to the movie. That man tripped 7 times. 7 times in, like, the 40 minutes that were the games. That man tripped. He got Mags killed. I fully believe that in the movie version, because Peeta trips, and then Katniss is like, oh no, I can't carry him by myself, because Peeta's built like a brick, and Finnick's like, oh no, I'll help, and Mags is like, okay, I will run off into the fog so you can live, Peeta. And I was like, he's so useless. Oh my gosh. So Peeta, as much as I love him, it was just the movie did not do him a good service, because man, if that guy tripped one more time, I was literally going to scream so bad. And of course, we've got our other homeboy, Gale, who still really didn't have much to do in this movie, especially the latter half, when he's just like, have fun in the games, Katniss. I'll miss you. Try not to make out with anyone this time. Thank you. He was good, I feel like, and he was the one that really, like, started to stir Katniss into action, where she still didn't want the revolution, but when she saw, like, that Gale wanted it, and that Gale was being punished for wanting this, and how harshly he was being punished, she kind of stepped in, was like, this isn't right. Like, that's kind of the moment where she was like, I'm not gonna run away anymore. I'm gonna stay and I'm gonna fight. I don't even think it's like an intentional, like, thing on her part where she's like, oh, I'm definitely going to be the Mockingjay, like, be the revolution. I just think it's a shift in her that she didn't even see, where she was like, we can't run away from this. We either have to fight it or we're gonna lose. Like, there's no going back now. I think that's when she finally realized it. And of course, she was punished for this by being sent back into the games, because Snow wanted to show what happens when you mess with him. And it was a very heartbreaking scene for me when she went to Haymitch and was like, I need to keep Peeta safe. If Peeta gets pulled, I want you to volunteer for him. And Haymitch was like, yeah, we'll do it. Seeing all the victors, Haymitch, Peeta, and Katniss, watching President Snow make the announcement that the pool was going to be from previous victors, that was a very harrowing scene for me, because, like, you saw Haymitch was alone and drinking. Katniss had at least her sister and her mother, but Peeta was alone too. I was like, Peeta? I feel bad for Peeta. Like, it's quiet moments like that I feel bad for Peeta, because I was like, why does no one have him? But it was so heartbreaking when Haymitch's name was called and Peeta was like, I volunteer, like, immediately, and Haymitch is like, no, and he's like, let me do this. Like, it was such a good throwback to when Katniss had volunteered for her sister. I'd seen a couple gift sets of that. Katniss says I volunteer as tribute and Peeta says I volunteer as tribute. It was a really nice, like, callback to the first movie. But we're off to the games, and in the games we met Sam Claflin as Finnick and why can't I think of her name? Jenna Malone as Johanna. Why can't I say her name? That's a better question. And these two, talk about perfect casting. Finnick I was a little unsure of, I have to say, because I never really, like, loved him in the books. I never got why everyone was so obsessed with him, but these movies have totally convinced me in how much of a sweetheart and how much of a babe he is. And Joanna, again, I didn't really get her. Like, I didn't really like her character, but these movies completely changed me. Like, I'm so in love with her now. They formed this team, even though Katniss doesn't know it, to try and protect her. And the games, I feel like you could definitely see how big the budget was for this movie compared to the first one, because the games were so flippin' awesome. I just think overall the games were more stunning, because instead of being in some forest, now they're in a big beach kind of thing, and it's like a clock with all these different things. It was very, very intense and a lot more interesting, I have to say, than the first one, than them just running around in an arena. Then we get to the end, and the end was very like, oh, what is happening? And Katniss shoots her arrow, and you see Snow being like, what is this biatch doing now? I thought she was supposed to die. And Katniss gets lifted out, and again you see one of my favorite lines in cinema, in the book, in the Hunger Games series. When Katniss wakes up and realizes Peeta isn't there, she goes kind of cuckoo, so then they have to sedate her again, and then she wakes up and Gale's there, and he's like, hey, Cat, like, he's trying to be, like, really, like, subtle with her, and you're like, why is he being, like, so soft? This isn't Gale at all. And then he tells her that there is no District 12, that they bombed it, and Jennifer Lawrence's face will forever be one of my favorite cinematic endings ever, because in, like, 5 seconds, you see her face go from, like, a range of disbelief to anger to, like, acceptance. Like, I'm gonna get this jerk for doing this, and her face will forever be imprinted in my mind. It was just such a movie moment, I feel like, to see the change in her, where she was no longer afraid, she wasn't angry, she was like, I'm coming for you and you better watch out. I loved it so much, and I love this movie. I definitely have to give it 5 out of 5 stars. And if you have any thoughts about the Catching Fire movie, please feel free to leave them down below in the comments, and make sure to come back tomorrow to see my book review for Mockingjay. Sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and want to see more of my videos, and also subscribe to my channel down below to be sure to make all sorts of new videos. So thank you guys again all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!